have to, we could be better on. Like, I'm trying to think of an example. For instance, if there's a dress code at school, there has to be a way that we communicate that to everyone on the staff, and it is enforced. Even keeping up like files, like the like our director of operations person has changed over the last few years. Like we have had 4 now in the last 5 years.
And those are the.
And I think one thing, just as the person who's responsible for hiring, I definitely think that we need to have exit interviews so that we can figure out why these people are leaving every few years. What is it that's pissing them off that they want to leave?
Do you feel like people are leaving on their own, or do you feel like they're leaving on their own, or is what do you think is the reason for that, for people leaving?
Well, the last ops person left on their own. Said that they found a better opportunity and they left rather abruptly. And then finding that person was leaving, we realized that everything dropped like a domino when that person left. And the 2 things that I learned from my corporate training is that there should always be a strong second in command, and there should always be best practices in place so that if someone leaves, somebody else will come right behind you and pick it up. Now, and in those two people leaving, we found that, like, hey, none of the employee files were together. What did this person do for 2 years? That the employee files were incomplete. That doesn't make sense. Or why is it that nobody knows how to do this or that once the director of ops left? Like, we were, like, literally in a domino phase, and that was, like, something that had been drilled in me from just my corporate training, and even the nonprofit that I worked for, they tried to run themselves like a corporation in that there's always a second or third person that can do X, Y, and Z should you take off and be sick or go on vacation. And that wasn't the case. And there was a lot, running a school, in school operations, there are a lot of little nuanced things that have to happen. And without a directive ops there, it's very noticeable that the person wasn't there. I also think reining in, like, wayward employees, like people that are, like, just bad for the culture of the school, like reining them in and properly managing them is a place that we probably failed. Maybe not failed, but, like, we could be stronger.
Okay. So what's your overall impression, both as a parent and as employee, of people leaving? I know sometimes it can be typical in the first few years of opening a school, or anywhere, in any corporation, there could be high turnover or whatever it is. What are your kind of observations and feelings about where you guys are as a charter school and staff turnover?
Well, in administration, the staff doesn't turn over as much as in teaching. When I first came in 2014, I came in November 2013, so the 2013-14 school year, I saw a bunch of people leave that had been here 8 and 9 years, which is basically the beginning of the school, and they didn't even make it to like a 10th year, and that worried me because I thought, oh man, do these people know something that I don't know? Did I make a bad decision by coming here? Like, why is it that people have spent so much time here deciding to leave and all at once?
What do you think was the reason for that? In hindsight.
Because I was new at the time, I couldn't really put my finger on it, but I know a few people said that they had been in the classroom and they felt like because they were African American, they weren't given leadership opportunities.
Oh.
That's what a few of them said, but because I hadn't been here in a long enough time to observe for myself, I could only go by what they said.
Okay.
Whereas now somebody said that, I could say, I don't know. The whole 5th grade team also left at once, which were 3 African American and 1, and that really impacted the school because it's like that's the graduating class. So like if you don't have really good firm teachers in place with them in that grade, that could really impact their middle school time, right? And so my daughter, the oldest one, when she started in kindergarten, she had 2 pregnant teachers in the classroom. They both left at the same time. I never thought that they should have been in the same classroom at the same time because it was like now you're putting a brand new teacher or a substitute teacher in the classroom, and that makes the children suffer. 1st grade, the same thing happened. She had a really strong lead teacher who also got pregnant and left in like November. And then so she had like a really terrible temp and like a new teacher teaching in 1st grade. In 2nd grade is when she had a strong team. Then in third grade, she had a brand new teacher fresh out of college and a teacher who was seasoned, but those two teachers just were not a good match in the classroom. And then in fourth grade, she had a really good set of teachers. And then in fifth grade, she had two brand new teachers. One was like sort of new, and the other one was like teaching middle school and then moved down to elementary school, and the other one was fresh, brand new, like done just out of school. So she had every other year where she didn't have good, strong teachers, right? To kindergarten now, but then my youngest daughter has had a great set of teachers each year because I think we see how the school has gotten better and stronger at coupling people together and hiring great people and keeping them. And now, so when I hire or when I groom people to come in, because I'm not the final word, but when I bring people in to interview, that's the kind of eye I look for. I look for, are you flaky? Are you going to get pregnant and leave in a year and like leave these kids in a lurch? Because I know what that's like. My kids suffered from that.
So you're the screening eye before people come in. What are some?
Yeah, I'm the hiring manager and the family engagement manager.
So what are you looking for in staff? Knowing the environment of the school and the expectations, what do you search out specifically when you employ?
I search out somebody who actually wants to teach as a profession. I look for a person who has, experience teaching. Obviously, not everybody has experience teaching, but like basically, even if they are a student teacher, that was all of their internships and stuff about teaching, or even counseling and that sort of thing. I look for people who seem to have an actual, genuine love for children and support of a community. I look for people who have commitment and dedication to the profession of education, period. Like even if their long-term goals are that they want to see themselves leading a school or, writing policy papers and research papers on like how to best impact the school system, I'm looking for them to teach in it so they can understand it thoroughly from the inside first. I'm looking for people who at least are interested at some point in their careers in becoming master teachers. Obviously, you're looking for somebody who can just, knows how to do, like if you were looking for a cab driver, you want to make sure that the cab driver can operate the vehicle. So that kind of thing.
Have you
people who are committed to like community development also.
So have you noticed a shift in the employment of the school based on kind of your thinking about the types of teachers that would fit best?
I've noticed a shift. I mean, people turn over every year. That's a given just with this industry because some people are like, hey, I'm not cut out for it. I would definitely say that I don't know, a little bit of a shift, yeah. I think that people have said that they felt good about the people that we brought in. Some things are hit or miss. But yeah, I feel like I have an eye. Like now, this is my second year doing it. I don't know if I'm going to get that jaded eye where it's like, I just want to hurry up and fill a position.
Right.
I'm sure that'll come. I'm not there yet because I've only been doing it a year and this is my second school year doing it. So I think I still have like a fresh eye from that perspective.
Okay. So what other changes have you noticed in the school? And just as far as you mentioned, with Common Core curriculum changing earlier in our conversation, what are where do you think is the decision making, about curriculum? Obviously, Common Core can drive some of those decisions. You have to align to.
It seems like it's a good input from all of the APs and the principal. I think that Margaret focuses a lot on like the social emotional support of the school. Like she's the person who was bringing in the. I think that Margaret and Steve both were very instrumental in bringing in the responsive classroom culture into the school. When I first came here, it would be like a lot of like putting kids out in classroom in hallways that would disrupt in the school. That's not the case anymore. We have a lot more management of students. We have a lot more staff on hand instead of like taxing the staff that are here. We have a lot of paras because there are a lot of children with special needs, like with SPED needs. We have more staff, and as opposed to stretching out the staff that are here and giving them 18 different roles, we now have people that can just give specific attention to children.